Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. Please enjoy this video on the Political Voices Network.
I love you said we just talked about this. Trump files motion to delay New York trial, complaining of too much pretrial publicity. Further complaining too many prospective New York jurors already believe Trump is guilty. I mean, he's as they said he's the one creating the publicity, right. So it's ridiculous to. And you just said Trump can and likely will try every delay tactic in the book, but it seems he's run out of rope. His first criminal trial of his 4 criminal trials is set to begin April 15th. Given the strength of the evidence against him, he should be a convicted felon by June 1st. Wow, June is busting out all over. Yeah. No, Andrew Weissman said criminal accountability in New York is high. The 415 criminal trial is going forward, so Trump needs to fasten his seatbelt. It's taking off. That brings us to the gag order. So he's violated again, as Jimmy Kimmel just said in a funny way. But in that we're this close to the trial, is that someone said yesterday maybe he's baiting the judge to try to do something that's going to delay this? What do you make of that whole scenario?
I don't think he has any viable motions to file that will delay the April 15th trial date. He'll file a bunch of bogus motions. He'll try to take bogus appeals all the way up. Once he's done the state appellate court system, he'll try to jump into the federal system and bubble it up to the Supreme Court. But I do think he's run out of rope. Judge Merchan is not playing Donald Trump's stupid reindeer games. He's going forward on April 15th. I think it's extremely unlikely that date will slide. The gag order is another question. I hope we see something that I don't think we've seen yet in any of his 4 prosecutions, but that I was always buried under as a career prosecutor. It's called a show cause order. Anytime a defendant does something that potentially violates a condition that's been set by the court, like a gag order, or people are on probation by the hundreds of thousands, and anytime they maybe do something wrong, they get rearrested, they have a positive drug test, they don't pay a court order fine, the judge will issue a show cause order. Happens thousands of times a day when a defendant is hauled before the court and he must show cause as to why he shouldn't be held in contempt for violating the court order. I think we may finally see our first show cause order issued by Judge Merchan, hauling him in, saying, I see these posts about my daughter and my wife. After I expanded the gag order, you've arguably violated it. You can be thrown in jail for 30 days. What say you? I think we are at the point where we're likely to see our first show cause hearing.
Well, you tweeted, given Trump's violent rhetoric, gag orders are the equivalent of putting a Band-Aid on a gaping chest wound. To protect witnesses, jurors, judges, prosecutors, and their family member, Trump needs to be detained pending trial. You've been saying that forever. Is it a fine first, though? Like, and again, is there an effect because we're so close to the start of the trial?
No judge and no prosecutor has been willing to do what the law provides should be done, which is when somebody is on pretrial release in a felony case, if there's clear and convincing evidence that he poses a danger to the community or even one person in the community, he should be detained pending trial. There doesn't have to be a fine. There doesn't have to be a warning. In my experience, what happens is judges will often give a defendant one warning and then put him on specific notice that if you do it again, you're going in and you're going to be detained pending trial. I am surprised we haven't seen any of that. I think that is a real shortfall of the system writ large at this point.
Yeah, I'll say. So Georgia, this was a good week for Justice, wasn't it? So he was also denied in Georgia his ridiculous try there to throw this out on free speech grounds. So what does that mean for the Georgia case now?
Yeah, this was not an unexpected ruling by Judge McAfee because Donald Trump and his 14 criminal associates, co-defendants, co-conspirators in the Georgia RICO case tried to all say everything we said and did was protected by the First Amendment. Steph, that would be like if you and I were overheard saying, okay, we're going to rob the bank. Steph, you get the gun. I'm going to steal the car. There's the bank. Let's case the joint. Let's do it. And then when we got arrested for conspiring to rob the bank, we would say, oh, wait a minute. First Amendment protects all of that speech. No, it doesn't. That's speech in furtherance of criminal conduct. First Amendment has nothing to do with that. So I'm not surprised Judge McAfee rejected these ridiculous claims. And now what I'd really like to see, Steph, is a trial date set in the Georgia RICO case.
There you go. By the way, don't give me the gun. I'm too spazzy, and also I'm not a good driver, so I'm really a very little use to you, even in your bank robbery. Fictional
can
scenario.
You get the big burlap bag with
Sure.
the money sign on
Yeah,
it?
sure.
And maybe some masks like
I
those
got a top
raccoon
hat
masks.
and a monocle and a big bag with a dollar sign.
Maybe I can.
Okay.
We can pull the nylons over my face. It'll be great.
Sure.
Yeah,
that's a whole
that.
other thing.
work.
Yeah,
That's a whole other. I'm sorry. That's.
Anything that has to do with touching you or looking at your blue
God.
eyes.
Oh.
Okay,
Stephanie.
what?
You always like
I know.
take it one step too
Too
far.
far. There you go. There's the line. There's me. Okay. So, reading a tweet, New York AG Letitia James is questioning Trump's $175 million bond surety after the subprime bond company appears to be over-leveraged and without enough cash to cover the judgment because, of course. Okay. Also, New York AG believes Trump and Weisselberg may have withheld evidence during the civil fraud case and are asking the court to authorize the court-appointed monitor to investigate and report back. This is why we never get to the end of this, because he keeps criming in the middle of his crime trials. Talk to us about this.
I can remember maybe 6 months ago, I was on air with Joy Reid, and another crime had popped up that was going to be investigated. And I said, Joy, you probably don't hear this from a career prosecutor often. Enough with the investigations. Don't open any more investigations.
Oh my God.
Let's get to the prosecutions and let's move some of them forward. Because every time you have a new crime crop up or new misconduct, all of a sudden our attention gets distracted to this new thing that will never come to fruition. Let's get the guy convicted already.
Him try to pump up the, Truth Social stock yesterday. They're like, oh, well, the regulators should be looking at that. I'm like, we don't have time. There's too many other crimes. I mean, you're absolutely right. So, but this is, of course there's something hanky with the hanky guy.
Yeah.
Mr. Hanky.
Uh-huh.
So I don't think he's even there. He's not licensed to practice to do this in New York, right? So that's why she needs more information.
Donald Trump is doing business with potentially shady characters?
Yes,
I'm
yes,
shocked.
Glenn.
Say.
Yes.
There's gambling going on here.
Okay. So yeah, I have no idea how that's going to affect that whole thing. So what do you call it? Who is it? The two Congress people. Sorry, don't have this one in front of me. There was too much.
and
Biggs are subpoenaed in the fake elector. That's in Arizona, correct? Do you feel like, as you've always talked about, there is a chance we're going to get to the suits from the boots of the insurrection?
Gosar and Biggs, they're like the Ren and Stimpy of the Congress. I'm glad that they're being subpoenaed. Steph, I'll never stop screaming from the rooftops about how not a single suit of the insurrection has been held accountable for what they did on and around January 6th. Even the ones who asked for pardons, the members of Congress who asked for pardons because they knew they'd committed crimes and they wanted to get away with those crimes. The only one who's gone to jail, to prison, is Peter Navarro. And that wasn't for January 6th conduct. That was because he wouldn't comply with congressional subpoenas. Congress was the victim in that case.
Yeah.
We, the people, are the victims of January 6th, and not a single higher up of the insurrection has been held accountable by the Department of Justice. That has either got to change, or we need to change something about the Department of Justice.
You know where we the people are going to be April 27th? We're going to be in Philadelphia.
That's right.
With Glenn Kirshner on panel and JoJo from Jers. That's a lot of Jersey on that panel. There's going to be a lot of swearing, I can tell you right now.
There's going to be a lot of brotherly love, too.
Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. I hope you'll join me on my new audio podcast, Justice Matters. I'll be using my 30 years as a federal prosecutor and Army JAG to unpack, break down, and explain the legal issues of the day, particularly where the legal intersects with the political. Please look for Justice Matters with Glenn Kirshner wherever you generally get your podcasts.